Good morning and welcome to our community affairs program that we call 30 Minutes. Today our special guest is Mr. Dave Dunn of Silver Spring, Maryland, who is this year's featured artist at Discovery Park of America. Dave, it's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Good morning to everybody, and I would like to, give everybody a nice, warm Puerto Rican greeting of Que Pasa Calabasa, which translates to, essentially, what's up, pumpkin people. Very excited to be here this week, and we'll be setting up the exhibit for everybody to enjoy for the next 6 months.
So what was your thoughts, Dave, when you received the invitation from Discovery Park of America to be the featured artist?
I was elated. I was super excited. So we had come previously for an honoree ceremony for my mother, and we had the chance to show up a couple days early, so we got to actually go see the park as attendees. And honestly, Discovery Park feels like a really, really fun home for my work, because as I was walking the halls and I saw that there was honestly a little bit of everything in the room, and the themes were very abstract. There really was just a lot of fun in the room. I felt a real strong connection to my work because I feel the same way about art. I feel the same way about how I make my pieces. I really don't think there needs to be this long, elated, cerebral process. I don't think you need to look at things on the wall and feel these huge emotions. You can just walk by and go, neat, and keep on going to the next cool thing. So when I heard I'd be selected, I was like, wow, I get to be a part of this really fun message that the owner was really trying to send with Discovery Park. So it's really fun to be part of it.
That's great. Over the years, they have showcased artists that have had paintings, photography, woodwork, things like that. But you're bringing a truly unique exhibit to the museum. Tell us about it.
So I have brought, honestly, what I think is a combination of what I honestly think some of these animals look like in physical representation out in the wild. They're not exactly a 1-for-1 to ratio replica here. They're, a real entertaining look of how they can look. And then some of them were just where I just let my imagination just run completely wild and just have complete fun with it. I've got a couple pieces, like I've got the Squid Knight, which is a bust of like a medieval knight, but the helmet is a fantasy with like 12 holes poked through it. It's got, tentacles coming out of its mouth, and it's got these weird big pauldrons that are, it's just really eccentric space.
And tell us how you create your work.
So, honestly, it is a trial and error process. I don't really draw ahead. I don't really traditionally design. I do have a design in mind, and I kind of will grab parts as I go and weld them together or cut them. And if I don't like it, I'll cut it off or, edit it somehow. But it's like playing with Legos. You kind of just piece it all together, and once the final piece is almost there, you kind of make a final call of like, do I want to add? Do I want to remove? Am I very satisfied with how it looks? And if you're satisfied, well, then it's time to go get some gaudy colors and paint them up. So it's that's definitely how I kind of go about my process. It's definitely a very Build-A-Bear Lego attitude to it.
And for those who visit and see your work, they may be surprised with the materials that you use to create. Tell us what you use.
Yeah, they will definitely be surprised with what I use to create. It's definitely a menagerie of rebar, flatware, bicycle parts. There is one piece called the Boom Snake, which is made out of replica grenades and a Soviet SKS bayonet, which is a real interesting, fun shape. So honestly, if it has a cool shape or if it looks like it can be edited to be in a cool way and it's made out of steel, why not toss it into the gumbo? So you will definitely see a wide mix of pieces and tools, and you will see some traditional pieces and tools that I have tried to heavily edit to where they are not so traditional looking.
Yeah, I've seen some of your pieces, nuts, bolts, screws, spoons.
One piece.
Where do you find the pieces to work with?
Everywhere and anywhere, thrift stores, junk stores, antique stores, military thrift stores, people's dumpsters, people's, that's It's just kind of wherever you can kind of find the odd and the curious. You're going to be able to find something that's very usable.
They say one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah, indeed. And then you combine that with a more accessible metal source, such as the plate steel, the rebar, which I purchased from a metal purveyor to build the bodies and the stands, but mix it together and you've got yourself a wild and wacky piece.
So when you're out and about, you're always on the look for pieces you can use.
Yeah, definitely in a way. I've definitely pulled over on the side of the road a few times and been like, stop the car, so I can pick up a piece of metal. And there's been a couple times where, unfortunately, I'll look at it and I'm not usable enough. So, you kind of take what you can and you take what you leave.
Now, you work out of a shop, you told me earlier before the program, right? Talk about your shop and what do you have there to work with?
So my shops definitely have had an evolution. I started in 2018 with half of a 50-foot woodshed on my parents' property in Eastern Shore. Then I was able to rent a more kind of suitable space that, kind of concrete flooring nearby in Whitman, Maryland. And then, in Silver Spring, where I am now, I have just a car garage, essentially, where like I said, outside, the previous owner was kind of a gearhead, kind of had motorcycle builder, something like that is what I was told. So I just rewired it as a welding shop. And now there's a big old weld table, a forge, some plasma cutter, sandblaster, and all the big boy toys.
Amazing. If you don't mind, I'm going to back up a little bit, okay?
Sure.
When Discovery Park sent out the announcement to the media, it caught my eye, saying that you were going to be the featured artist.
Sure.
Because I saw where you had a local connection, a family in Hickman.
That is correct.
And I lived there. And when I got to reading through, I saw that your family included your late grandparents, Judge John Bondra and Miss Doris, just some wonderful people. I mean, wonderful people. Judge Bondra was also the mayor of Hickman years ago.
Yes, he was. Definitely heard a lot of stories like that. And also another tinkerer in the family. He also, dabbled in kind of odd creations and, weird inventions. So,
did you pick up some of that from him?
I like to think so. I definitely played with a few things that he made. So,
yeah. And your mother is Amy, Amy Bondra. She was born here in Union City.
Yes, she was.
Yes, raised in Hickman. She's the first female to serve on the board of Rolls-Royce. She was appointed by President Bill Clinton as the United States ambassador to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And she was also honored, as you mentioned earlier, at Discovery Park during the Robert and Jenny Kirkland Discovery Awards. So I know you're very proud of your family. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, and it definitely lent well to my artistic upbringing. Lots of hikes in the nature, across the banks of the Mississippi. So seeing a lot of abstract trees and seeing a lot of animals, especially in their natural habitat. I got to see the birds operate as a bird would, not like you would in the city in the DC. You got to see a lot of these creatures that I'm kind of trying to bring to life, kind of bring themselves to life in their natural environment. You could see the snakes, you could see the fish, and then with my mom being an ambassador, I got a heavy dose of medieval influence. And with that, you see a lot of suits of armor that were, beautifully crafted, beautiful details. And then occasionally there is some very, very odd examples of armor. There's a German baron. They had the first steel prosthesis. I've seen that, and that was it's just a big old metal fist with buttons to make the fingers operate individually. There is a helmet that has horns and glasses, like actual bifocal glasses. mounted to it. So, I definitely, and then with the castle architecture, I got a lot of influence in, just being creative and being abstract and seeing the world in an odder sense.
Again, today we are talking with Dave Dunn of Silver Spring, Maryland. He is this year's featured artist at Discovery Park of America, and it is a pleasure to have Dave on the program. Again, you just heard he has some local ties to the area, and we're glad that he's back here visiting for a few days as his exhibit is currently underway at Discovery Park until September 7th. So you have plenty of time to go visit and see his work. And when you and I first talked, when we talked on the phone, didn't you not tell me that this exhibit here, actually some of the ideas came from your time when you were young in Hickman, walking the banks of the river and things like that?
Absolutely. I've got some, I've got a catfish with me. So, I've got, I saw, many snakes in the area, so I've got a snake. One of my favorite pieces that I have brought is the Imperator eagle. Eagles were definitely a really, really cool bird. They're just so big and majestic, and man, can they fly and just have fun in the sky. So I brought a big old eagle to, I definitely wanted to, and the exhibit is titled Real Foot Critters. So it is, half of them are kind of more traditional creatures you would see in the real foot: foxes, snakes, eagles, and then a couple of them are, there's a shark octopus. So, it's...
Don't see many of those.
Don't see many of those, but I kind of wanted a little bit of real foot and me on the page. So, but they're absolutely tied into, the creatures you would see in the Mississippi.
How many pieces do you have on exhibit, Dave?
I will have 14 in total.
Now, are those pieces available if someone walks by and say, I would love to have that piece?
They are absolutely for sale and for purchase, and I also do take custom commissions. So if you do see something and you're like, wow, I love this style, but I want a water buffalo, call me up. I will find a way to make you a water buffalo. There is no request too weird, no request too big. I mean, maybe too big, but no request too small either. Have fun with it. Have fun with your request, and have fun with if you see something and you are inspired to make something yourself, make it weird, man. Make it weird. Have fun.
Where is some of your work on display now?
So I've got more than a few pieces in Key West, Florida. That is where, I've definitely made a big presence for myself. But I am a little bit of everywhere over the United States. I've got some pieces in New Orleans, pieces in West Virginia, pieces in Virginia, pieces in Rhode Island. I have a fox on Fox Mountain in Germany. So Dunn and Metal has kind of, laid a flag a little bit everywhere.
And the fox was a special made piece,
yes,
ordered piece, right?
That was a specialized commission. It was based off a piece that they saw I did for another gallery show, and they saw a different colored fox, and kind of like, well, I would like a fox, and I want it black and white. And it was kind of one of the first pieces I actually started doing my new and now my standardized painting method of hydro dipping pieces, where there is a combination of two colors blended together to kind of give a marbled stained look. To where but very, very blended. There are swirls and little, splotches everywhere. Very, very abstract.
So you have to be really excited that your name is out there now.
Yeah.
And you're not really having to go to them to push. They're coming to you, right?
Yeah, well, so this is kind of the first step in that direction. Artists as a whole definitely seek out the featured artist tag. You get enough of those, and that's when other galleries will start to do that and kind of go, oh, well, if you're the featured artist at Discovery Park and there's another show I do called Waterfowl. It's a big festival in Maryland. There's a featured artist position there as well. So, if you gain enough of those, feathers in the cap, if you will, that's when big galleries will really start to think you as a serious artist. So this is a huge stepping stone in that direction and gaining that first badge, if you will.
And that's a big confidence boost for the buyer also, right?
It definitely is, because there are a lot of people out there who are very unsure what they want artistically. They see one piece and they love it, and then they see another one and then they get all, I don't know which one I like better. This is why a lot of people hire art consultants to buy pieces for them. Like this client who bought the fox, I was contacted through his art buyer, who looks out for art and, was like, hey, I like your stuff, and I think my client would like your stuff. That's kind of how that works. But when you do have that gallery backing, people kind of do know that, hey, I'm buying from a real artist. This isn't like a reseller on online, something like that. And it's the way of getting that almost certificate of authenticity in a way.
And with the materials that you use, the nuts and the bolts and the screws and the spoons and other material, sets you aside and makes you different. And is it true to say that a lot of the buyers actually want something to be different like that?
Definitely. People really like to buy art for its uniqueness, because when you show your friends the lovely art piece you bought, you really want to tell the story behind it. You want to say, oh, I got it at this really cool flea market, or I got it this really cool, I was in Florida and I happened to go to this art gallery and I bought this piece, and it's this artist who uses these reclaimed things, or in other mediums. You definitely want to tell the story of the artist you bought it from, or the story of the piece. There's a few other, especially some pieces in Discovery Park, there's a few pieces where kind of comes with a tale of how this painting or whatever have you came to be. So people love the story behind it, and I think it makes people feel warm and fuzzy to kind of own a piece that has a journey behind it.
Right. And I know you work hard to make it the best it can be, because word of mouth advertising is some of the best that you can find.
Oh my God, it is probably the best for artists. When that's what made COVID particularly hard, was when an artist can't meet with you face to face. It's very difficult. It's very easy to go to a gallery and see an art piece and see Jane Doe, made by Jane Doe, and you look at it, you like it, you read the little tag, and you're like, oh, well, this is interesting, and you move on. It's a completely different experience when you come in and you're like, you see a piece and you're like, oh, well, there's the artist right there.
Right.
I can talk to him. This is one of the reasons I enjoy, when I'm not doing the big art circuit, I enjoy the vendor gigs with my leather work and my smaller metal crafts, because somebody can come up to me, see me, ask, like we're doing now, talk to me about my craft, ask those questions that they want to know. Because when you walk into a gallery, I feel like deep down you want to know sometimes, especially about a piece you really, really connect with. You want to know how they made it, when they made it, what made them want to make it. But then that's the point of having openings like we're having this Thursday, the 5:30 to 7, so you kind of get a chance to ask me those questions that you want to know about the art, and I love answering them.
And Dave, you talk about working in your shop and creating. Is storage a problem for you when you create a piece, or when you create something, does it usually just go out somewhere?
So it only really becomes a problem when I'm done with a set of pieces. So I am definitely one of those disorganized artists. I need to figure out a better way. So once I'm all done with about 15, 20 pieces, I have to spend a day about cleaning up everything, cleaning all the junk metal and everything, and then it gets all organized. So storage, when I'm after those 2 days of cleaning, not a problem. When I'm just finishing everything, oh yeah, it looks like a tornado just blew through there.
So how do you get them out for people to see that they're done and ready for the market?
So mainly, I try to apply for like semi-bigger shows. I've just gotten gallery representation at a local gallery in Easton, Maryland, called Zebra Gallery, run by a lovely woman, fellow artist named Susan. She's awesome. So I am kind of funneling a few pieces in through her. There are a few festivals I do, like the Waterfowl Festival, which is a big 2-day, big Maryland celebration festival I do. I do have a few private shows, sometimes. I've got a family friend that will be having a party, and they will be gracious enough to be like, hey, I would like some art to kind of adorn the decorations, and you may sell your stuff if people want, and I'll sell through theirs. But it's places like these, Discovery Park, word of mouth. That is definitely how I get pieces out the door. And then commissions. That is the main bread and butter, is somebody either sees a piece and buys that particular piece, or, they're like, hey man, I would like you to make a shark, and I want it to be, and they're either kind of specific, and I want it to be a certain size, I want it to be a certain color, or they're very, hey, I don't care what it looks like, I love your brand, so I'm just going to be happy to own a Dunn in metal. It doesn't matter what it looks like.
So the overall public reaction to your work's been good then, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely, it's been slow and hard, but it's definitely a very positive reaction. People like my stuff, and I definitely try to please.
You just then said slow and hard. When did you actually start creating your pieces?
So I started the business in 2018, early 2018. And it definitely was an evolution. I hadn't, I'd found a way I wanted to make pieces. I'd found a style, an abstract style. Mm-hmm. But I hadn't exactly honed it. I definitely would say that 2022 is definitely when I really, really honed my craft, where pieces were smooth, paint jobs were pristine and precise. It was a mix of precision and abstract, and that is really where my work really kicked in.
Do you still have your first piece you made?
My mother does.
Yes.
And there's actually a story behind that. So I was in college, and I was in sculpture class, and I hadn't really figured out my style in class at all. I was just experimenting with a lot of different things. And my art teacher came up to me and was like, hey, Dave, so this is a hard thing because this doesn't really happen, but you're actually failing art class. And I was like, oh, excuse me, what? Failing? And he's like, yeah, you really haven't produced any artistic work. And I was like, wow, okay. And so I went to work and grabbed some bite cassettes, cut out some plate steel, and made the first demon crabfish, is what I called it. And my teacher saw it and was like, "Yep, you got it. Exactly what I'm looking for."
Well, he gave you inspiration.
Yeah, you're not failing art class anymore. And I was like, wow. Huzzah! That piece is still sitting in my mom's house in Key West.
Well, fantastic. That is a good story right there.
So,
does your teacher know where you have gone to this point?
I don't think so. I definitely would like to venture back and kind of let my sculpture teachers know, hey man, the last 7 years have been sculpture work.
Right.
So.
Now, during your time in making work, have you made a piece that you consider your best so far?
Yes. I think the first piece that I would consider probably one of my masterpieces was the Bay Bridge shark. It was just a shark, but when I hydro dipped it, I used orange, black, and a little bit of white. And when it went in and came out, I was blown away with how it looked. It was one of the few pieces where I've had that reaction, where I was like, my God. And I was like, I'm not going to hold on to this piece for long. I was like, this piece is going to be gone in a day. And it was. When I exhibited it, it was bought within an hour.
Really?
Yeah, and there were at least 7 people who were visibly upset that they were not the ones to get it.
So is this a one-time piece? You would not make another one for someone else?
I offered to those exact 6 people, and they were like, no.
They
adamantly refused. I know. Well, so when I do make a repeat piece for somebody, right, it will look very similar. I will work very hard to keep the features. What is different is the paint job. It is not going to be the exact piece. Each one of my pieces, even if I do the same color, they always have a slight uniqueness difference to them. So people were adamant that they did not want another one. They wanted that one. And I had one person leave.
Wow.
And he left the show. I mean, he walked through, saw everything else, and was like, and came up and shook my hand and went, it's a very nice show, and I appreciate it, but I wanted that, and so I'm going to go.
He wanted the original piece, then.
Yep.
He wanted the first.
Yep. The owner is a good family friend, and he told me the reason he was so quick is because he knew too. He was like, when he was mulling over, he said, he was like, if I don't, someone's going to come in here and I'm going to be upset that I didn't get it.
Wow.
So he is now the proud owner of the Bay Bridge Shark, and that piece was...
Where's it located now?
It is in the Eastern Shore, Maryland, in St. Michael's.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you've not only had to learn how to put your pieces together in sculpting, but you had to learn the paint process also, right?
Yeah. When I first started, I was just kind of doing a mix of solid colors and unpainted metals. And it was definitely a process, Then I started adding dual color, paint something yellow, add little red spots to it, let it kind of blend together. And then I started hydro dipping. And I started, it was always just a mix between the three. But once I did the Bay Bridge Shark, the new policy was everything gets hydro dipped. I don't not hydro dip a thing. It all must be hydro dipped because I became obsessed.
Unbelievable. Great story.
Like all these pieces at Discovery, every single one of these are hydro dipped.
Yeah.
So
I look forward to seeing them.
It's going to be so fun, and I'm so excited for people to enjoy them for the next 6 months. Please take pictures. Take pictures with you of the work. I always have a rule. It doesn't matter if it ends up on my social media as long as it ends up on somebody's.
Right. That's great. Again, today we have been speaking with Dave Dunn of Silver Spring, Maryland. He is this year's Southern Artist Showcase featured artist at Discovery Park of America. His work is on display now. You said you had 14 pieces, right, Dave?
Yes, I do. 14 altogether.
Altogether. You need to drop by there and see that. And as we do each week on our program, when we close out, we like to give the last word to our guests. So, Dave, I'll turn it over to you.
So I did want to just close with kind of just an encouraging message to viewers. I know in today's world, a lot of things are really uncertain. There's a lot of people who are in dire straits. A lot of people who don't know what they're going to do tomorrow, and I just encourage you to just stay strong to what you know is right, and just stay close to those who you love, man, and just stay strong.
Great message. Great message. We look forward to seeing your work. We're glad you're back in your area, some of your stomping grounds. As a youngster.
Oh yeah, no. We're gonna take this afternoon to go down to the lake and go have a nice stroll.
Yeah. It was good to see you.
Maybe go find some more inspiration.
Absolutely. Glad you're back in the area. Dave Dunn from Silver Spring, Maryland. And that concludes this week's 30 Minutes program. We hope you enjoyed today's show. And, of course, we invite you to tune in again next week at this same time as we bring you topics and information of importance to our community. From all of us here at Thunderbolt Broadcasting, until we meet again next week, I'm Charles Choate.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.